No October surprises.
No Harris or Walz interviews on this podcast, though the invitation is open.
Just Vibes. This is Vibes Only, the podcast that checks the vibes of American politics every week. And the vibes this week.
Donald Trump prefers to run on problems instead of fixing problems. He's not solution-oriented. And again, I will invite people, if you really need to know how he thinks, since he doesn't do these kinds of interviews, watch his rallies.
Yeah.
He spends full time engaged in grievance about what has happened to him.
Right.
But what he does not talk about is you. People are ready for a new generation of leadership that's about fixing problems.
We'll talk about the Harris and Walz media blitz as the campaign tries to expand their reach in these final weeks.
We'll also discuss some perhaps not so surprising revelations from Jack Smith's filing about Donald Trump's efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 election.
All that before playing It's Giving, pulling up our group chat, and leaving you with a good vibe. Let's get into it.
Hi, Brian.
Hey, girly pop. How we doing?
How are you? Oh, drinks. I'm good.
Wait, more importantly, where are you? Because it's hard to track these days.
I know it is. I was in wonderful Milwaukee this past weekend. I had never been.
What'd you think?
I liked it. Everyone was super nice. But I will say we went to a bar for the Packers game, and I was reminded why it is, in fact, a swing state.
Go Pack?
Yeah, the Packers won, so everyone was happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am on a swing state tour.
We got there.
And I'm running on little sleep, so that's going to be Brian and I for the next insert amount of days until election here. We're going to be on fumes on the pod, so we apologize in advance.
I have to complain and say that that's my least favorite part of this part of the cycle is that we're all literally counting the days all the time, and so I feel like all of my conversations start with, it's 28. No, it's 27. No, it's 29. No, wait, no, 28. It's 28 days. And it's like, who cares? It's soon.
It's
you
soon.
Know?
It is soon. And we are not yet, I would say, winning. So we're doing a lot of work. We are doing a lot of work here. And you know who's also doing a lot of work?
Tell me.
Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
Doing the work. They are out here in these streets.
Yeah, in non-trad media. So for those who are not media heads, trad is traditional media. So like CBS, NBC, Fox News.
Which they've done some of.
Some.
Harris did the MSNBC with Stephanie Ruhle. She did the famous CNN hit with Dana Bash.
Yeah.
And now they're like, you know what? Nobody watches these things. And so we're going to go find people where they actually are.
Yeah.
And like theme of the week is podcasts, late night. I've gotten so many people DMing me about Hot Ones. They want her to do Hot Ones so bad.
She would crush. I didn't even realize that was an option. Tim Walz should do Chicken Shop Date.
Oh my, that would be so fun. Yeah,
so
I agree.
Fun.
But isn't that in the UK?
Yeah, but still, Amelia.
Get over there.
Amelia has a global and a very like American heavy audience.
Fly him in and out. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so probably the one that made the most news in my circles was Call Her Daddy, which I kind of was barely even familiar with. I'm not going to lie, but is huge. Is like the second most popular podcast in America after Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
It's hosted by
Alex Cooper,
who I read like a New York Post article about.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on the conversation?
So I have never once listened to a Call Her Daddy episode. Alex Cooper's all over my For You page. I like her because she was a D1 soccer player. I have a lot of respect for D1 soccer players. But this was the first time I listened to a Call Her Daddy episode. I did know based on just like her being on my For You page that Call Her Daddy is rooted in women's issues, rooted in mental health, rooted in sexual health and wellness. And it has a huge, like millions and millions of people listen to it. So add me to the list now. I listened. It was really good.
I was impressed. And I think that something that she did really well was ask the questions that all of us have. Mm-hmm. Because oftentimes those are not the questions that traditional media outlets are asking. And we're kind of seeing that on 60 Minutes, which we can get to in a second, which they also did. But like kind of the things that I would want to ask in an interview, especially around abortion.
I do want to clarify something. In the debate, former President Trump claimed that some states are executing babies after birth. Can you just clarify?
That is not happening anywhere in the United States. It is not happening, and it's a lie. It's a bold-faced lie that he is suggesting that. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? He is suggesting that women in their 9th month of pregnancy are electing to have an abortion. Are you kidding? That is so outrageously inaccurate, and it's so insulting to suggest that that would be happening and that women would be doing that. It's not happening anywhere. This guy is full of lies. I mean, I just have to be very candid with you.
You know what she wanted to say? This guy is full of shit. But she couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reaction that I have watching the debate, right? Is Trump's like, oh yeah, they're killing babies in the 9th month. They're after birth. They're killing babies like up to the 1st year, whatever, the nonsense. And like, that's what pops me off. That's what sticks in, I think, a lot of people's heads. And that's what I want to hear from her. So I'm glad that she's going directly to the source, where with some of these outlets, it feels more like the audience is also the interviewer than some other places.
I listened to the whole thing. I thought it was really amazing to hear a presidential candidate speak so candidly on a plethora of women-centric issues. What was not so cool was that, Alex Cooper, she did a preface before she went into the interview saying, I kind of noodled on if I was going to get involved, but she's like, as an influential woman in this day and age, and women's issues being so on the line in November, I couldn't not be involved.
You are.
And right. And she said, I have also invited Donald Trump.
We reached out to former President Donald Trump to come on the show. If he also wants to have a meaningful, in-depth conversation about women's rights in this country, then he is welcome on Call Her Daddy anytime.
So she knew that she had a bipartisan audience, but the amount of comments that were just like, how could you do this? Like,
in terms of inviting him?
Inviting Kamala Harris. Yeah. It was super, like, obviously...
record scratch. That's not adding up for me.
Yeah, they were really outing themselves as Trumpers. Like, and she knew that, like, a lot of her followers were. But this was an interesting stat that I looked up. It's from Edison Research. Because, a lot of people are giving Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, a little bit of heat for going to non-traditional media. I think some boomers are pissed. I don't know. But we know that these candidates have to reach people where they're at, which is online. Edison Research, can only assume related to Thomas Edison. Definitely not. The Call Her Daddy audience is 70% women, 76% are under 35,
wow.
93% are under 45, 48% are Democrats, 24% are Republican, 20% independent, 34% live in the South, 24% in the West, 22% in the Northeast, and 20% in the Midwest. So I think whoever decided that Kamala Harris should go and Call Her Daddy was a very smart person.
Yeah, it's a fucking genius. Agreed. Those are some valuable demos. And it's not just Call Her Daddy. She also this week went on The View, The Howard Stern Show, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, while Tim Walz was doing his own media blitz.
Our first guest tonight is running for vice president of the United States. In his spare time, he puts helmets on his gutters and listens to 8-track tapes. He's here in California and is all jacked up on Diet Mountain Dew. From Minnesota, please welcome America's sweetheart, Governor Tim Walz.
He was on Fox and Smartless with Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, Will Arnett. I mean, they're just going to be showing up everywhere. And that's what the name of the game is. That's what we got to do. That's why TikTok's important. That's why social media is important. That we have to be showing up where people actually consume information rather than just spending $100 million on ads and hoping that people don't fast forward through the commercials of The Voice. You know what I mean? Like that's so old school. And it's clear that they're running like a more modern campaign.
Yeah, and something that the vice president said in the Call Her Daddy interview, which she was saying to all her daddies, I think that's what they call themselves, like the daddy gang. She was addressing the daddy gang directly when she said that, as women, you can't let other people define who you are.
Your opponent has called you crazy, weak, fake, and dumb. How does that affect you?
I think it's really important not to let other people define you. And usually those people who will attempt to do it don't know you.
That's part of what she's doing by doing all these interviews. And period, Kamala Harris, that is right. So I'm thrilled to see this media blitz. I hope there's more to come. And you mentioned she is doing 60 Minutes. She's doing more traditional media.
Harris and Walz both sat with 60 Minutes. And 60 Minutes made clear, they made a public statement, which is rare for them, but they made a public statement that both Harris and Trump were invited to come do back-to-back interviews. They wouldn't see each other. It wasn't a debate, but they would each do a sit-down interview. And Trump's team agreed to it and then backed out of it when they said that they would be fact-checking both of the interviews. So not unfair treatment, but that both interviews would be fact-checked. And we know that the entire right-wing argument for Trump falls apart if you even have a Wikipedia level fact check going on, like truly the most basic. And so they backed out, but Harris still did it and 60 Minutes still ran it. And yeah, it shows that she can do both. I mean, I think that my biggest frustration with the 60 Minutes interview, if I may,
please,
is that because of this weird narrative that the media is not able to scrutinize Harris enough, or that she's not getting enough hard-hitting interviews, I think that they're trying to create a false sort of equating of the two where it doesn't exist.
Right.
And they were pushing her on how she would get really specific economic plans that she had proposed through Congress.
It is not right that teachers and nurses and firefighters are paying a higher tax rate than billionaires and the biggest corporations. And I plan on making that fair.
But we're dealing with the real world here.
But the real world includes...
How are you going to get this through Congress?
You know, when you talk quietly with a lot of folks in Congress, they know exactly what I'm talking about because their constituents know exactly what I'm talking about. Their constituents are those firefighters and teachers and nurses.
Which is a pretty normal thing to ask presidential candidates, I guess. But we're not in a normal election cycle. And so the idea that that's the most important question right now.
Right.
And coming from someone who I'm always talking about that. I'm always how are you going to get the 60 votes in the Senate? How is this going to pass the Byrd rule if you're not going to use if you're not going to be able to overcome a filibuster? That's my jam. And I can also recognize that in this election, the choice is not between who's going to be able to negotiate better on this specific deal with Congress. It's should someone who worked publicly and covertly to overturn overthrow our government, to overturn a free and fair election, be in the White House again, versus should this person who's prepared their whole life for the role be in the position? I guess that I'm just frustrated that the traditional media has not figured out how to meet the moment that we're in with Trump running again, you know?
Right. I would call this an ass chap alert. You are feeling a certain way.
Chaps.
This was important news from last week. Liz Cheney endorsed Kamala Harris.
As she should. As
totally.
Any democracy-loving, Constitution-supporting American is going to.
We have a shared commitment as Americans to ensuring that future generations live in a nation where power is transferred peacefully, where our leaders are men and women of good faith, and where our public servants set aside partisan battles to do what's right for this country. So today I ask all of you here and everyone listening across this great country to join us. I ask you to meet this moment. I ask you to stand in truth, to reject the depraved cruelty of Donald Trump. And I ask you instead to help us elect Kamala Harris for president.
And because that fits sort of a schema that the media knows how to interpret and talk about. And so they can lean into that and be like, Liz Cheney, she was in Republican leadership for this many years and she represents this and this is who her dad is and this is what she represents in the party. She's endorsing Harris. This makes our heads explode. what's happening? This is crazy. And they can like talk about that. But I think that they still struggle to frame and put into perspective in plain words for the American people what it means to have Donald Trump running for president again.
You're looking at the two futures that are, in front of us as a country. And one wants to take us forward, and one so clearly wants to take us back. We're going to take the pod back for just a few minutes to touch base on some new January 6th revelations about Donald Trump's headspace on January 6th. And they're kind of damning in that he knew what was going on. His attitude was not to help or to stop anything. It was just, okay, yeah, let it happen.
Yeah. Jack Smith, the special prosecutor, dropped this absolute
bombshell
/ like Bible thick report that went step by step, play by play of how Trump and his co-conspirators tried to overturn the election, and all the information that they had that the election shouldn't be overturned, that it was not stolen, that it was not rigged. And they continued and continued and continued all the way through the actual attack on the Capitol. So I feel like the big highlights for me, I would first draw attention to one of Trump's cronies who was texting with an employee in Michigan. They were looking to stop the counting in Michigan. This is while votes are being counted. And there are these texts from one of Trump's campaign people as the votes were moving more and more in Biden's favor. They texted them, quote, "Find a reason it isn't going to go in Biden's favor." And then when that person suggested that there would be unrest if they like suddenly stopped counting these votes that were helping Biden, because that's who won the votes and who won Michigan, the campaign person responded, quote, "Make them riot," quote, "Do it." So literally trying to foment violence to stop the counting of votes in Michigan while Trump was still in the lead and not all the votes had been counted. And so like, as we think, I want to go through the rest of the report, but like, as we think about what's going to happen in 20 something days when we all cast our ballots, like that should be on more people's minds, and people should be talking about it, that there is going to be a very concerted effort to stop the counting of votes in any state where Donald Trump is in the lead on election night, when I guarantee you he's just going to declare victory at random.
Yeah, it's like he was working the phones. He was calling Georgia, telling Kemp to find some votes. Like, this is his MO. We know it. We've played a starring role in this movie as American citizens, so get ready for the sequel. But at least this time we're more prepared and we know what bullshit to look out for.
I don't want to scare the shit out of people. In some ways, yes. In some ways, we're more prepared. We passed things like the Electoral Count Act, which updated the rules to say certain things need to happen while the votes are being certified in Congress and all of that. In other ways, the people who stood in the way of Trump stealing the election are not there anymore. A lot of them lost their elections, either in primaries or in 2022, like since the 2020 election when they did that. And so in some places, there are not the guardrails in place that we had in 2020 when this was sort of unprecedented. There's a higher percentage of people now that believe the election lies than there were at the time in 2020. That has moved in the wrong direction. And we're seeing that in places like Georgia, where we are seeing these headlines come out of like, oh, we're going to hand count all the ballots, even though it's less accurate and takes longer.
Purging voter rolls.
We're going to purge voter rolls. We're going to put a law into place just in case, I'm using air quotes, just in case, that says that at the state level, we can throw out the results of any individual precinct that we don't think is like doing the right thing or doing what we think they should be doing. And so that could allow these Trump-controlled boards at the state level to just throw out a precinct here and a precinct there in Democratic counties and give Trump the state, right? Like there are really scary things going on. And we need to be talking about this more because it's going to happen in a flash. Like you're going to cast your ballot on election day. And then all of this could be happening like within the 36 hours that follow, you know?
Not me Googling how to make a citizen's arrest. Like, what kind of power do I have in this situation?
It's crazy. It really is crazy. I'm grateful for the work of like Mark Elias and Democracy Docket that have filed all these cases ahead of the election. The DNC is suing Georgia over the hand counting bullshit. Like, it's not like everyone's just sitting on their hands. People are doing stuff to fight back. But like, we all have to be aware that this is happening. I think pre-bunking is really important, being vocal about your support of free and fair elections and that you don't believe that the 2020 election was stolen and all of these lies that Trump is already setting the stage for in 2024. We all have a role to play in that as well.
Well, I'm a little scared, but Brian, I have no doubt that you will keep me informed on what I need to know about election protection and election integrity over the next 20-something days.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk.
Post.
We're gonna talk. Yes.
It's giving. So speaking of laying the groundwork, George Stephanopoulos played a clip of Donald Trump on his show, and then MAGA Mike wanted to keep spewing some BS.
If I lose, I'll tell you what's possible, because they cheat. That's the only way we're going to lose, because they cheat. They cheat like hell.
Is that what you believe? The only way that Donald Trump loses is if the Democrats cheat?
Donald Trump's going to win. I'll tell you that election security is a major concern of the American people. All these cities I've been in, hundreds of places doing campaign rallies over the last several months, the first or second question, almost without exception, in every audience and crowd is about election security.
Because you're selling them lies about election security. It's giving step one, because again, I feel like the media, maybe he's like pulling on the thread and that's a format that they're used to. Let's show them a clip and then we're going to ask them if they agree with this politician who said something crazy. But what George Stephanopoulos needs to come back with is like, well, how the process actually works for mail-in ballots is this. And like, these are all of the safeguards in place. Actually, machine vote counts are checked against hand counts in 5% of districts, in a random 5% of districts every time to make sure they're accurate. And there are like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that would be telling the truth and that would probably hurt ratings. So.
It would hurt ratings. God, you're so right.
I mean,
don't know what I was thinking. You think it's going to hurt the ratings of our podcast? Guys, are you going to be upset if we tell the truth on this podcast?
Question mark.
It's giving perfunctory. It just feels like big word. It feels like everyone's just playing their nice little role, right? Like, we're going to ask a hard question and you're going to give your exact canned talking point that completely sidesteps it, and then we'll move on. And it's like, that's not enough.
You know what it gives for me, which whenever I see MAGA Mike Johnson, and I'm going to need Devin, our producer, to play this, but there's from Wife Swap when she's not a Christian.
She's not a Christian.
She could be a Jew and believe in God.
It doesn't matter. She's tampering in dark-sided stuff. Yes, she did.
she's tampered in dark-sided stuff because he says he's so Christian. And I'm like, you're not a Christian. I'm so sick of these Christians, I'm using air quotes, lie. You can't lie if you're a Christian.
Totally. Right.
I want to rebrand MAGA Mike to be like, he's not a Christian. He is not a Christian. He is not a God warrior like he thinks he is.
Start a rumor that MAGA Mike is a Muslim who was born in Kenya.
LOL. Imagine that.
Do it. You heard it here first. What did your group chat include this week other than Elon Musk's midriff?
I know. So I was, as everyone now knows, I was in Milwaukee. I was doing something with some content creators there. And one of them was like, oh my God, the Elon jump. And I hadn't been on my phone like all day besides like doing the work. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I Googled it and I'm like, this is so pathetic.
It was so bad. It was so weird. I know that people are going to hate this, but I'm calling it right now. This, I think, was the start of Elon's political
career.
rebirth. Yeah. I think that his narcissism and Trump's narcissism just combined to form some sort of like super ego driven entity. You could tell that the way that Elon was responding to the crowd, no one's ever cheered for Elon Musk like that in his whole life. And he is a damaged little boy inside. And I'm very scared that like we have awoken something via the jumps.
You know, how sad though to have to buy a media platform just to feel like you have influence. Like he's such a loser. Like if I hate to like call him a loser in like the realest, meanest sense, but he is literally a loser, a FUCKING loser.
Did you see that an analysis shows that Twitter's lost somewhere between 80 and 90% of its value since he bought it?
Pathetic.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm obsessed with this television program because I like to really zone out when I watch TV called Love is Blind. There's a new season.
You know, I don't watch that shit. You know,
I know you don't. It's like it's I'm not caught up, but it's really good internet fodder for like a week. Like everyone watches it. There's a ton of stuff that comes out. So I'm sure there's some Vibes Only listeners who are watching it. I only started I'm 1.5 episodes in, but it's good for like campaign, like being on the road. Cause it's like, I don't want to have any brain cells.
Yeah.
So I watch Leo, the apparently very rich man who keeps saying it in the pods.
Wait, I actually heard about this because it was so viral in my feeds, and Barstool weirdly is like talking about it all the time. And I keep getting served Barstool content. And apparently, yeah, he's like wearing a Rolex and keeps telling people he doesn't want anyone to know he has money.
But all he talks about is how rich he is. It's classic. So cringe. I mean, it's like you can't write it. Like the producers are probably like, this is gold. Brian, we should tell the people.
They deserve to know.
That we, thanks to all of you, are a People's Choice Award winners. Not the People's Choice Award.
This one's better.
It is. We won Best Pod, News.
And Politics.
That's
kind of iconic.
Super iconic. Are you kidding me?
Our very first season.
I know. I want a plaque.
I want a golden microphone.
Yeah.
That you can see on screen.
We're going to be insufferable now. Now that we're a People's Choice Award winners, it's over. But no, seriously, thank you to everyone for voting for us.
I was shocked, to be honest.
Too. Okay, and I want to, I love someone backing up my opinion. So I'm going to read a text from one of our listeners. OMG, I'm listening to the Post VP debate pod. I'm a mom of 3 and I took a step back from work when we had our third. I am 1000% more psychotic than I was pre-kids. What bleep world is Vance living in? I really think that blah, blah, blah. So thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, parents. The anecdotal evidence is in and you're more psychotic post-kid than pre-kid.
LOL. There's another text here. Actually, we should jam on this.
Wait, I saw this. We do need to jam on this. We got a message from someone, which I'm obsessed with. You're now my new favorite listener for the week, Becky. Her name is Becky. And she said the following. Hi, Brian and Glennis. I have a question about canvassing. I've done it for local campaigns in the past and for Mondale Jones in New York. To be honest, I'm not great at it. I'm not the right personality for it, and I find it terrifying. Just less terrifying than doing nothing. Preach. I'm planning to canvass with Moms Demand Action in Pennsylvania next weekend, and I'm wondering if either of you know if there's a good crash course somewhere, like maybe on YouTube, to prep myself for the kinds of questions people might have about Kamala. And any other little tips for canvassing would be appreciated. Thanks for all you do.
Great question.
Ooh, you start. What are your canvassing pro tips and resources?
My canvassing pro tips are some that are practical, which is wear comfortable shoes, make sure you hydrate, all of those things. And then also don't put too much pressure on yourself to be an encyclopedia on the candidate. There will most likely be talking points that you have access to, literature that you can leave. But what I find is I present myself as a volunteer. So in your case, it would be like, hi, I'm Becky. I'm a volunteer with Moms Demand Action, canvassing for insert candidate here. And just like you can read the room, feel the vibe. And then you can just talk about why you're doing it. Like, you don't have to know every single policy point, but what is your why for knocking doors? And like, it's just helpful to have a human to human connection with the person.
100%. That honestly was my tip as well. At the core of it, free yourself of the pressure to be the perfect spokesperson for Kamala Harris. You're not a spokesperson for Kamala Harris. You're a spokesperson for you. And that's a way more powerful thing. Telling people why you took time out of your schedule to show up and be there is a more powerful incentive than telling them about the specific tax credit that Kamala Harris is going to propose when she's president. And so if that means saying, hey, when Trump tried to overthrow our government, that was a line that he crossed a line for me, and I will support someone who won't do that. Or if it's, hey, Kamala Harris has said that she is going to support women's reproductive freedom, and that affects me personally, and that's why I'm here. Like, that is genuinely a more helpful place to start a conversation than any stats, facts, data coming directly from the campaign or somebody else.
That's right. And thank you for doing it.
100%. And because you specifically asked for resources, I don't know of any YouTube videos off the top of my head. I would say Knock for Democracy are the pros. I post about them on social media a lot. Knock for Democracy has incredible trainings for how to do this well. And so even if they're not running your canvassing session, maybe join one of their phone banks and like get the training of how to talk to people on the phones and then apply that to canvassing, because they have phone banks all the time and you can join from anywhere. They might also have YouTube videos. I'm genuinely just not sure.
Good vibe. Goodbye.
Hit on with that goodbye.
So we got a jobs report and it's good. 250,000 new jobs in September.
It was a banger jobs report.
Yeah. Which, given how close we are to the election, is extremely valuable. Also, is valuable for the Americans who have jobs. Unemployment is back down to 4.1%, which is, during the Biden administration, is the lowest it's been in 50 years. 50, Brian, Derrick.
Wow. That's not a recession.
No.
If I know what a recession is, it's not that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, experts are saying that the progress shown in the September jobs report paves the way for a soft landing, which is my favorite thing to post about on Instagram.
I know you do it all the time and I like it, but I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about.
Oh my God. It's my funniest joke on Instagram. That video of people falling and then they edit it so that it's people doing like death drops / dips.
I love that video.
It's a soft landing because you think that they're going to fall and you think that someone's going to hurt themselves, and then they like perfectly land and start voguing or whatever, and it's iconic. So we've nailed the soft landing. Many people said it was impossible, but Biden said we will go where no man has gone before, and they did it.
Period.
With the Fed, but you know.
Those are all the vibes this week. Thanks for listening. 26 days. 26 days. How are we feeling? Send us a text using the link in the description or send us a voice message at vibes@couriernewsroom.com to let us know. And more important than that, what are you doing? Knocking doors, registering people to vote, phone banking, texting your friends, sharing this podcast with friends and family that need this kind of vibe check. Get it? Let's do what we can. Thank you again, and we'll catch you next week.
Vibes Only is a production of Courier, a civic media company that protects and strengthens our democracy through credible, fact-based journalism and seeks to create a more informed, engaged, and representative America. Vibes Only is produced by Devin Maroney with support from Courier's Kyle Tharp, RC DeMezzo, Daniel Strasburger, and Lucy Ritzman. Video editing is by Shane Verkest. Tara McGowan is founder and publisher of Courier.